Bonjour and welcome to our first day in Paris vlog. So today we started the day off by going to the Louvre. We had tickets for 9 a.m. So we took the RER train over, and here is the Louvre Palace. It is absolutely massive. The palace used to be home to many royals and famous people. A lot of it was under construction. We think a lot of things are just undergoing maintenance before the Paris 2024 Olympics happen. But there was still so much to see. Of course, we had to go see the iconic glass pyramid of the Louvre, and this is where we decided to enter the building. There were just already looking at the map, we could tell that the museum was going to be absolutely massive. So we got in around 9:20 and we didn't leave until I want to say 1:20 or 1:30. So we were there for around 4 hours, which is about the same amount of time that Mom and I had just spent in the British Museum. So here we are walking through the museum. We started off with the sculpture section. This is a museum that collects all different kinds of art. So they had a lot of sculptures, different tapestries, pottery, earthenware, paintings, also a lot of artifacts from ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, Assyria, different kinds of places. So it was very similar to the British Museum, a little bit less broad because it was very much artistic focused, but there was still a very large range of things to see. So I will let you enjoy this montage of all of our favorite collections of items. Here are the paintings done by Dutch and Flemish artists. This includes artists such as Vermeer, Van Eyck, and Rembrandt. Next, we saw some royal apartments that just held a assortment of furniture. There were also some collections of things of Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette. We continued on to one of the sections of ancient Egypt stuff. This was things from around 4,000 years ago, but there was also a lot more ancient Egyptian stuff below. And because, again, the Louvre is in an old palace, the roofs here were absolutely stunning and had so much artistic detail on the doors and around the rooms. As we proceeded to the ancient Greek things, you could also tell the level of detail was so immense. So again, here are the ancient Greek artifacts. Now we moved on to some of the Etruscan artifacts, which were again linked to some of the earlier royal apartments that we hadn't seen earlier. So we went and saw those before looping back. Now we continued on to see the French crown jewels, which were in this absolutely gorgeous hallway. It was shimmering gold, and we got to see all the different kinds of crowns and other jewels, like these beautiful diamonds. Those giant pearl earrings were absolutely insane, as were these emeralds, and the room itself was absolutely gorgeous. Then when you continued this way, we got into one of the most iconic hallways of the Louvre, where there are a bunch of Italian paintings, and of course this is where we saw the wedding painting and the Mona Lisa, of course, and I did not feel like waiting to get super close to it, so we really just looked at it from afar. And then we continued into this room full of paintings of Napoleon. Of course, that one painting of the French flag and the lady holding it are iconic to me because it is the cover of a Coldplay album. And then we continued back on to these artists. I can't exactly remember. I think those were British and American artists. But again, we were looping in and out of a bunch of different rooms, so it was really hard to keep track. And at this point, we had been in the museum for hours, so we were getting a little bit tired. Then we headed back downstairs to look at more sculptures. Here is the Winged Victory statue, which is one of two of the most iconic statues. And then here is Venus de Milo, which is the second most iconic statue. I also really liked this statue of Minerva. It was so beautiful. And then we headed even more downstairs. This was the base of the old Palace of Louvre. It was actually really cool getting to see the foundation stones of the palace and understand its history a little bit more. Then we continued back to the ancient Egypt sections that we hadn't previously seen. Again, this museum is massive, and at this point we were just walking through the collections, trying to get a feel for everything rather than really even looking at the signs because there was just so much to see. Here is also where the mummies and different sarcophagi were, so that was really interesting to see. Continuing here, we were getting into Iranian, Middle Eastern, and Far East cultures. It was a mishmash of really interesting things. So we spent our final time in the Louvre looking at these artifacts. We ended at a different sculpture hall than the one that we had started in, and then headed out in the streets of Paris to go get lunch. Originally, we had found this Southeast Asian vegetarian restaurant, but it ended up being packed full, so we went to a Japanese restaurant instead, which I totally forgot to record. I got a bowl of udon, and after that, Felix and I were still a little bit hungry, so we stopped at Le Pain Quotidien, which isn't even a French bakery, it's a chain bakery that is based in Paris. But I got a pain au chocolat, and Felix got a croissant that was vegan. We continued on to the park and went to the museum in the Orangery. Here are Claude Monet's water lily paintings, which are absolutely gorgeous. And Monet is my absolute favorite artist of all time, so it was so beautiful getting to take that all in. Downstairs were some more contemporary French artists or other artists such as Picasso, so it was really cool to see this distinct kind of style as compared to Monet. And then there was also this special exhibit of basically white paintings, and we were very, very unimpressed by these because, as you can see, we could probably achieve any of those. Some more Monet paintings to conclude that gallery. Then we had a bit of time to kill before our next stop, so we went walking along the Seine. You can see the Eiffel Tower. I was so excited to see it. It was just such a I can't believe I'm here moment. And as we were walking along the Seine, we noticed that some of the roads started getting closed and traffic was being directed in a strange direction. And that is because the Chinese president Xi Jinping was actually having a meeting with the French president Macron today to discuss economic policy. And I guess Xi's motorcade was about to come this way. So we ended up having to detour a little bit to avoid that motorcade. But all turned out to be well because the Rue des Champs-Élysées ended up being closed down to traffic, and we got a really great view of the Arc de Triomphe at the top. Then we headed back down this iconic street, and our next stop was the Hotel de la Marine, which is a building that has so much history. The Navy used to have their offices here and direct so many naval missions all across the world. We got these super cool audio guides to tell us about the history, and the rooms inside were absolutely beautiful. The audio guide was very intense and had maybe a little bit too much information, so we didn't exactly listen to it in every single room, but I just like appreciating the old style of architecture and the beautiful furniture in these rooms. Here we get into the different salons of the Hotel de la Marine. So they used to bring out old collections and artifacts to display to the public. The hotel was open once every week on Tuesdays for the public to come in and look at collections of the rich. So this room was absolutely beautiful, decked out to the max, and it's probably one of my favorite staterooms that I've ever got to be in. And then we went out to the balcony to again look at the Eiffel Tower and headed back through this absolutely gorgeous gilded hallway. Then we took the metro to get back around basically where we started. There's so much Olympic stuff going on, of course, and we were headed to the Modern Art Museum. So this is the Centre Pompidou, which hosts some of Paris's vast modern artwork collection, except for us it was more well known for its hamster tube-esque escalator system on the side. It was absolutely cooking in here. It was literally a greenhouse. But at the top, we got some really good views of the city and got to see some monuments that we hadn't seen yet because the vantage point was so high. Then we headed a floor down to look at the modern art. At this point, because this was our fourth museum of the day, our feet were kind of killing us, and none of us really like modern art anyways. So we basically just walked around to take a peek at everything. Then we headed back downstairs to look at their other collections that they had. I think some of this was more interesting. It was definitely more interesting than the white canvases that we had seen earlier that day, but not the most thought-provoking art I've ever seen, which I think modern art is supposed to do. Then we took the RER back to our Airbnb. Merci for watching.